friends, it's been a while. Welcome back to the channel. Our dining room desperately needs a makeover. The wallpaper is falling off. There was a wall that I needed to replace before we moved in. The paint is super patchy and the trim needs a refresh. This room has so much potential to be a beautiful space in our home, so let's bring it back to life. Back in January, I had recorded an intro for the dining room space, but as I was editing, I just didn't care for it, so I'm re-recording my intro. It has been a while. Welcome back. If you've stuck around, thank you so much. But I was initially supposed to start posting again in the middle of February, and just life. I'm gonna do a life update video. I'll probably just record something today or tomorrow and then post that next week. But for today's video, let's tackle the dining room. The dining room was one of those spaces that really needed to be made over because there was a wall that I actually had to put up before we could even close on the house. So I had to close that wall and it was just an eyesore, but also my soul really needed a cosmetic makeover after demoing this bedroom for so long. It's just, that project has been something, we'll talk about it next week, but it was really nice to actually do something, like see tangible progress being made rather than tearing things down. I hate demo. Anybody who loves demo, more power to you. I just don't get it. But making over a space and really seeing a vision come to life, that is what I love. That is where I thrive. And it's been so wonderful to make over this dining room. So let's get into the process. I really liked this wallpaper. However, I could not find it anywhere. So I decided to get a different navy and gold wallpaper. I found this on Amazon and I think it's so beautiful. I really love the colors in it. Plus it was inexpensive, so it is more of like a budget-friendly option for the living room. Obviously I haven't worked with it yet, so we'll see how it actually works. This border right here, I could not find anything like it. I tried to match everything that was already here because I love the lower half detail of the dining room, but I needed more of it because there are missing pieces throughout the dining room. So I couldn't find either of these. I did, however, search for a few months and finally found this chair rail. I am thrilled that I found this chair rail. It is quite pricey. It's from Home Depot, but I'm so excited because I only needed 2 pieces of it to go on the wall that I had to patch. Last night I went through and dusted off all the walls and the ceilings, and today I'm going to prep the doors so that way whenever I sand everything down, I'm not going to get dust throughout the rest of the house. At least that's the goal. Typically I would fully clean out a space before I start doing any sort of like sanding or anything like that. However, I'm starting to run out of room in different areas of the house because I've got construction materials all downstairs for the primary bedroom, or I have baby stuff that I haven't been able to like sell or give away yet that's taking up a ton of space in the living room. So I'm starting to be a little limited on where I can move this furniture, which means that I'm just gonna kind of push it away from the walls as I'm working. It's not ideal, but it's gonna have to do for now. this right here just confirms what I was already kind of suspecting. And I did a little test spot on the wall yesterday, trying to figure out if I should sand, then do joint compound, and then sand again, or if I can just go ahead and do joint compound on the cracks and sand the joint compound down. Basically, I just want the walls a little smoother than they are, and I just don't want to see the cracks. So this confirmed what I already was suspecting, is that this is actually wallpaper and it's not the plaster. Each room in our house that has plaster has this cloth wallpaper put over it. What I'm gonna do is just joint compound all the cracks that I can, because essentially just adding more layers is all gonna crack anyway. So I'm just gonna skip one sanding step and try to make the walls as smooth as I possibly can. Oh my gosh, you guys. I just took a break and I made myself some lunch. I'm standing in my kitchen looking at my walls as one does, right? Then it just hit me. Because I've been looking for paint colors and I'm like, I really don't want to do just like a stark white in here. I've been looking for paint colors and most of what I picked out is just like white paint. But as I was looking at the walls, I'm like, you know what? This color might actually be pretty in the dining room. And so I have a gallon of it still. I mean, this is natural linen. It's one of my favorite neutral paint colors. It's not white. It's got a little like creaminess to it. And I think it's actually gonna look really pretty with the wallpaper. I could be totally wrong, but I have a lot of it left over. So I'm gonna test swatch it before I prime while I'm mudding and everything, because it's all gonna be like mudded over anyway. What does kind of suck though is that the gallon that I have is in satin. I really want to do everything like above the chair rail in a flat paint all the way up to the ceiling. So we'll see how I like this, and then I'll go probably get a sample of it in the flat paint and like go from there. I think that'll be nice. Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be pretty. Yes. I think that's the color I'm gonna go with. Okay, first of all, don't make fun of me for wearing a cheap shower cap. I've been needing quick and easy cleanup post-project, and I just washed my hair the day before, so that's that. Anyway, let's chat about this wall. There was a lot of work that needed to be done on the house before we could even close on it a few years ago. The house was being sold as is, but our mortgage company required a new roof and for these walls to be closed. This whole corner was just lath, so I came in here one night with the seller's realtor watching me the whole time and hung drywall and did a super quick mud job, but then our mortgage company required that the wall was primed, and so back to the house we went before we owned it. And yes, we also did replace the roof before we owned it. It was a whole deal, but we got the house and it all worked out in the end. Now I know you're probably like, wow, that was a lot of work on a house that you didn't own, and yes it was, but the previous owners made it very clear that any work needed to be done before the sale of the house was going to fall to us. So that's how we ended up in this situation, but that is why this wall looks the way that it does. For the walls, I just did a quick sanding with 120 grit sandpaper. The expectation wasn't to have smooth walls, but rather to just not see so many cracks under the new paint. I'm going for visually appealing, imperfect walls. No wonder why it's cold. Oh boy. I don't think I've seen this window in 2 years. So I'm actually not going to be working on these windows because it's January, but I am painting these. I went back and forth on whether I wanted to stain or paint the trim, and I think in this room in particular, it'll be really nice to have a nice white trim. So that's what I'm doing in here instead of removing the paint. And then I'll get to refinishing the windows eventually. For now, they're just gonna have to stay the way that they are. I don't know if they actually open or not. Literally, like looking at them right now, I can see that the strings aren't attached, so they probably don't open properly. So what I'm gonna do is tape off to where I don't accidentally paint the window shut, and then just refinish what I can in here. I think I'm just gonna try to tape under the air conditioner and wrap it up because everything underneath can be painted. In certain areas, this wallpaper comes off super easily, but in other areas, like you can tell that this area was not glued down at all. And I had a couple of panels that weren't, but where it was glued, it's really difficult to remove. So I ordered this wallpaper steamer. I'm gonna give it a try, see if it actually works out and helps me remove all of this wallpaper. The white border trim wallpaper that they used is really stuck on there, so I'm very curious to see how it works on this section in particular. The directions do say that it needs about 12 minutes to heat up, so while it's heating, I'm gonna score the wallpaper. Again, per the directions, it says to just like make little X's throughout the wallpaper, and apparently it helps like absorb the steam to help remove the wallpaper easier. I really loved working with this steamer. It made removing the wallpaper so much easier, but it didn't damage the wallpaper underneath that is directly over the plaster walls. Here I'm using the larger attachment, but I found that the smaller one did give me more control, since the only way to control how much steam is coming out of it is to turn the machine on and off. So like actually unplugging it every time. I've decided to put the smaller attachment on there just to see if maybe it'll give me a little more control, because there's no way to control how much steam you're getting or like how fast it comes out, and it's a lot of steam at once. So while it's heating up today, I'm gonna see about making some more X's and see if that will help get through this paper. This paper is really thick. It does a really great job with the blue wallpaper, but what I'm most concerned about is anything getting through the wallpaper underneath the wallpaper, because that wallpaper is holding our walls together. It's just holding plaster in place. Anywhere plaster was broken, it was just wallpapered over. So I really need this to not penetrate too deeply, but just enough to where I can get the white wallpaper off. The problem with this is that it really does like accumulate water in there, which is not great because then it's just hot water dripping everywhere. But really that's the only downfall, and I think the smaller one is helping with that. I mean, it's not quite as, it doesn't accumulate as much as the bigger one did. I should probably wear glasses and a mask for this. This section they like put joint compound and then put the wallpaper right over it. So I think that I'm working with not only adhesive, but also wet joint compound, unfortunately. You guys, I am so excited, like so excited to use my paint sprayer. Jared bought me this paint sprayer in July last year and I haven't had a chance to use it, but I'm really excited. So yesterday I went through and I primed it, and then today I'm gonna get started painting. I'm gonna start with the trim first, and then I think I'm gonna spray paint the walls and the ceiling. I haven't really decided if I'm gonna spray paint that or if I'm going to like roll it, but I'm definitely going to spray the trim so I can hopefully get a nice good finish on my trim work. My plan for the sprayer was to treat it like if I was spraying an MDF art piece, start with the sides and then move to the front. This actually worked out pretty well for me, but like with anything, there was a learning curve to this paint sprayer. You'll see that I'm kind of choppy with how I use the paint sprayer. Honestly, I kind of just treated it as if I was using a can of spray paint. Again, this is pretty much how I paint my art, so that's just what I was familiar with. I could probably go a lot smoother and get a better finish, but for my first time, the finish actually looked really good. Overall, I did end up with a pretty smooth finish, but my sprayer went rogue and started to sputter a bit, and it got like all over the walls. This isn't something that I saw happening in any of the tutorials that I watched, so I'm not really sure what went wrong. Maybe some sort of a clog in the paint. I had it on the lowest spray setting, and I just really took my time. The trim ended up only taking about 10 minutes to paint with this sprayer. But looking back, I wish I had sprayed the walls and ceiling and then hand painted the trim. The problem was that I was working around all of the furniture in this room and it really didn't allow for spraying the walls and ceiling, so I did end up hand painting. I wonder how fun this would be to like roll. Or if that would be just more of a pain than anything. We'll see. We'll find out. Alright, let's see if this is as fun as I expected it to be. I'm like giddy over this. Okay, yeah, that is pretty fun. go. I'm so nervous. Oh, brother. If I hate it, I'll just paint it back. Oh boy, here we go. Fine. This will be great. Yeah. I think the last time I painted a ceiling a color was when I was in high school at my dad's house, and I painted my ceiling black, which was certainly a choice because my walls were dark purple. So the doors and the ceiling were black with dark purple walls. And really, I think that's just where I peaked as a designer, you know? I really love having the ceiling painted the same color as the walls in this room. I know that color drenching is currently super trendy, but I definitely think it was worth it in this space. I couldn't reach the area around the light at the time that I was painting, so after I pushed all the furniture back into place, I was able to go in with a paintbrush and paint the medallion and the rest of the ceiling. Unfortunately, once I painted the first coat, I did notice a lot of small gaps in between the ceiling and the crown molding, so I went through and caulked the seams before doing the second coat. I've never hung wallpaper before. I do know that you want to start slightly away from the wall, and I have my laser level set up here. I just realized that I have peel and stick wallpaper, which is nice. I'm very excited that that is what I have and that I don't have to work with like a glue, because I definitely thought that this was pre-pasted but not peel and stick. Very happy about that. I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to start on this wall specifically. First of all, it is the longest wall. But second of all, Chewy eats right here, and I have taken over his little food spot. He's like right behind me eating in the living room right now. So I know he's going to be really excited to have his space back. And then over on the other side of this wall in the morning, whenever there's really good sun, he likes to lay over there in his bed. So I want to make sure that I give him his spots back so he can live comfortably, because this is his house too. And I have just taken over so many spaces. Hi, it's the next day. Let's talk about this. I tried my absolute best to get this as straight as possible. I could not get it aligned with my laser level at all. So it is just a smidge crooked. I tried putting this on 3 times, and this was the best that I've got. Another thing is that this is incredibly thin wallpaper, and I did go back online to see what the listing said. It did indeed say peel and stick wallpaper, so that's what it is. I only paid like $10 a roll, so this is fairly cheap wallpaper. I wasn't expecting like super high quality, but it is very thin. So you can really see all of the little pieces behind it. Even though I went through and did a light sanding after I steamed off the wallpaper, there are still little pieces that probably could use another bit of sanding. But even still, like, these walls are extremely textured, so like it's not ever gonna be smooth. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to put on my second piece of wallpaper, see if it looks okay. And if it doesn't, then I will rip it off, sand everything again, and then just try again, try to get it straight. That's the only solution that I have right now. So let's try this second piece and see what's what. I think another issue with this wallpaper is that it did crinkle on the roll. I don't know, like it's never been super flat. And even though I laid it flat whenever I got it in, it's always had like a crinkle to it. So I feel like you can see all of that. I just feel like you can see it all. And I don't know if it's reading on camera. It just looks off. Like something just looks off on this wallpaper. Let's try our best, you know? Let's try our best and see what the second piece. Closing the seam. Closing the seam. Just like, just pushing it as much as I can. Closing the seam. Closing the seam. I fear I'm losing my mind. That actually, okay, let me take a step back. That really doesn't look bad. have some touch-ups to do, and I should absolutely wait for Jared to hang this, but I'm impatient and I've been waiting to hang this mirror back up for a very long time, like a month. So I'm gonna hang it by myself, or at least try to, and see how it goes, I guess. It's like not that heavy, but it's not light. That side's hot. Oh, all right. Okay. Done. Oh my God. Oh, it's so pretty. It looks so much better against this wall than it did with the blue. And with the wallpaper and the trim. Oh, I'm obsessed. Finally looks like something. I knew that wallpapering around the window and the radiator was not going to be super pleasant, but this one piece right here just really sucked to install. I was also 13 minutes into installing it when I did not notice that my card ran out of memory and my camera shut off. So thankfully I was able to capture most of the install here, but not all of it. To get this section, I first aligned the pattern with the paper on the left, then cut down as best as I could to the skinny part at the top of this sheet of paper. The trickiest part was that the windowsill is a little further out than the trim, and then it immediately goes back to the trim at the bottom, so I didn't want to cut off too much space for the sill. I did get super frustrated by this piece. It was ripping and it was just curling in on itself. Eventually I did get it to look pretty good, but it was just not a fun time. I think the worst part about working around the radiator is that it's just super dirty and I have no clue how to clean it. I've tried dusting and vacuuming and it's still just really gross. So my tools got stuck a few times, and there was one point when I thought that I just completely lost a roll of wallpaper back there, but thankfully I was able to retrieve it. I also couldn't really get any good recording working around the radiator, so this is the only clip that I have. Unfortunately, I will also have to re-wallpaper behind the radiator because there were 2 sheets of paper that kept coming up. I think it was the fact that the radiator was on, so like it was warming up the glue. Eventually the whole little sheet came off, and so I had to redo the wallpaper back there. At least I'm dusting also. At least with the other wallpaper I had a guide of where to stop. This one's kind of willy-nilly. All of the other walls had a very natural stopping point for the wallpaper because it was clear where the chair rail was removed, but because these walls were new, I didn't have that stopping point. The top of each chair rail was 29 inches from the top of the trim, so that's where I put my laser level to allow for any not so straight cuts, which I knew were going to happen. And then I just used my X-Acto knife and tried to follow the laser level as best I could. Yay! Last piece done! Overall, this was a very budget-friendly makeover for me, but I did have to order 2 chair rails at $22 a piece. If I needed to add any more than that, this very quickly would have turned into a much more expensive project, but I'm all for reusing what I can in a space, and I think this project cost about $500 total at the end of everything. That's straight.
Much straight.
Is it low on this side? Loud noise. Last one. Boop. I know, I just finished hanging everything. I'm so excited. All that's left to do is some touch-up work. Gotta clean some things up a little bit. Add some caulk. Final painting, and then it'll be all done. Today is an absolutely gorgeous day, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang the curtains, even though I'm not done. Like, I still need to add this top trim, and there's a little bit of the other wall that I need to do, but it's just such a pretty day, and I'm tired of looking at this plastic, so I'm gonna go around it. I was contemplating where I actually wanted to hang the end of the rod. There were 2 spots that had previously held curtain rods. I filled those spots with wood filler before I painted, but it made me really think about if I wanted to mount the curtain rod on the outer or inner part of the trim. Eventually, I decided that I would use the inner flat part of the trim for the rods because the curtains are still out of the way when it opened, and it just looked really nice. For these curtains, I didn't want anything heavy. Basically, I just wanted some fabric so that people couldn't see directly into our house at night, and these are just that. I will say, I was imagining something just a little bit thicker, but for $17, these did get the job done. Now, I did measure for these curtains, and the ones that I purchased were not wide enough, so I purchased the same curtains in a wider set and installed them later, but here you can see my oops. He's so happy to have this sign. Buddy, you want your bed? He's like, no, this is perfect. He's having a great time. So this is the state of the dining room. It's a mess, but I have to still paint this little section above the table, so I don't know why, but I have this like gut instinct, maybe it's wrong. Like whenever you walk in, you see this pretty glass hutch. I don't really have anything in there. It's stuff from the previous owner and like 1 set of plates. So it's not like it's a gorgeous display of things, but I just feel like it should be on that wall. But then again, if I recall correctly, I think it might have been on that wall originally whenever we moved in, and then I moved it to the other wall and I was like, oh, this is so much better. So I'm gonna play around with the furniture and see if I like it over here on this wall or if I don't. And then after that, I'm gonna finish all the final little details in here, including painting the ceiling. Maybe I hate it here. What do we think? All right, so this is the current layout, and I think I hate it. So this is gonna go back over there, and that's gonna come back right over here, the way that it was. Full transparency, I hate this wallpaper. I love the print. I just hate this wallpaper. I did pay like $7 to $9 per roll. I can't remember how much right now. Off the top of my head, I'll put it on the screen. So I guess maybe you get what you pay for, but it does not stick well. There are two things that I really don't like about it. It doesn't stick well in certain areas, and that could just be our walls, because I am wallpapering over wallpaper. Even though I pressed and pressed, it like still pulls up, and there are places that are like completely smooth, just prime wall, and it's still coming up. I don't know. Maybe user error. Could be. And the other thing that really just grinded my gears, I was so mad. I had measured the full room for the wallpaper and I ordered an extra roll, but this wallpaper, I don't know if it's because I didn't do a full wall or what the situation was. It would never align without me having to do so many offcuts. So I ended up having to buy an extra roll to finish one additional piece in the dining room. So again, maybe not the wallpaper's fault, but those are my two gripes. So if you do end up buying this wallpaper, just keep that in mind. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in another video real soon. Let's get to the reveal.